We started this project 2 or 3 years ago when Trevor and his partner, one of his partners, approached us to look at a development on the Maitai River. It was an exciting project. It consisted of 2 lots with 2 existing houses, and we came up with a design that was to replace those with 4 high-end townhouses, which is sort of inspired by the river.
So where we are now is at the end of the project, so everything's come together, all elements inside and outside are complete.
The design was a collaborative project with Trevor, and we worked with also actually involved with the agents, the real estate agents, in terms of palette of materials that would be soft and light and would appeal to the buyers, but also respond to the river, something that's sort of recessive and providing sort of the high-end amenity that you require in this sort of location.
The history of the property, there had actually been 2 other buildings on this property before the last ones. So we had to actually dig down a metre below existing ground level so they could understand what we were building on. First phase of construction was the rib-bar floor systems for both units, and we actually started this one and the one next door first. Because of the restrictions of the site, we worked from the back of the site out, otherwise we would have had to try and work over the top if we'd started at the other end.
So sort of the main building's clad in a flax pod aluminium weatherboard, vertical shiplap called New Wall. That's sort of the main material for the outside. Nice and simple, but sort of also has kind of nice, reflects sort of an existing sort of shiplap or timberwood type weatherboard profile. We've also then used some black plaster, but then also from the outside, which is quite neat, as you see the building sort of, the internal was wrapped with the birch plywood, which sort of continues from inside to outside. So when you're looking up, you can see the form of the building continues inside and outside, which sort of emphasises that nice sort of gable pavilion type.
We were still able to, inside, use a lot of different timber. Okay, so there's a lot of different textures in here, from the ply on the ceiling to the ply outside, the timber decks, and all the timber balustrading.
One of the key design moves was to cantilever the rear of the top floor of the buildings, and that was to deal with a design condition where we needed to maintain access for a right-of-way behind the rear of the townhouses. So there's some quite large steel beams in there to allow that to occur, but it maintains access, but also then gives us the additional floor area we require on top for the townhouses. So quite a neat design solution, but it's really enabled sort of a larger sort of living area on the upper floor of the townhouses. What we're really proud of is that it's a sort of it's taking that higher end architecture that we're accustomed to doing, but providing it into a medium density sort of townhouse typology, particularly in Nelson, that it doesn't have a lot of. And I think for people to see that it can look really good, be really functional, and also really make the most of the site. I think the elevated views that you get from these townhouses overlooking the river is just absolutely fantastic. And I think it's a good demonstration that good design can really make a big difference, and good amenity, so you don't need the size in order to get that amenity really.
It always feels special. It happens every time we build something that we start with nothing. Experience sort of keeps you on a level heading, I suppose, because we know in the end, we know what we've got to do, we know how to put it all together, and it always comes together at the end. There's always a whole lot of little things that niggly things you've got to deal with at the end, but yeah, we're past that point now, and that's always a really good feeling.